Starting out, you need some paste, you need your structure, and you need some newspaper. I only start with just one piece of single newspaper because that'll get you a long ways. And so you have a couple options for tearing this newspaper. You can either do small pieces, you can do long strips. I like to kind of do a combination depending on what I'm making. So the long strips, if you're pulling the newspaper down lengthwise, you get really nice, easy strips to pull. So keep that in mind. Once you have your newspaper torn, it is time to actually do the paper mache. So you cover your paper in the paste and then you kind of squeegee off the excess. So I like to dip one end in and get it covered, pull it up, and then just kind of squeegee the rest over the entire thing because you don't want too much paste on it, but you need to have the paper covered in the paste in order for it to work effectively. So this is where I like to use the strips, and just kind of medium size is what I like to start with because I just think it's easier at this point. You can see that I'm wiping the excess off on the edge of the bowl. I'm doing that so I'm not getting extra paste on accident onto the actual structure. So, and starting out, if you noticed, I was starting with it laying down, and now I kind of picked it up because at this point the structure's been a little bit more solid. There's a little bit more holding it together, and so then I start working upright. And then you can also see that I start to use bigger pieces, which I start doing because once again, I've gotten a little bit more of a foundation established. Now, if you need to get into any of the smaller areas, like in between my A there, you can see you have to kind of carefully weave it in there and then carefully wrap it all the way around. So sometimes that can get a little tricky, but the more you do it, the more patient you can stay, the easier it'll be. Now, if you have any little attachments like this, notice how I'm making sure that the newspaper is staying nice and snug, because you should be able to see that like embellishment, I guess you could call it. You can still see it through the newspaper because I've kept it really snug, which all these pieces should be snug the entire time. Now, once your project is entirely covered, you can kind of see everything's nice and snug, it's flat, it fits to the form. If it's not fitting to the form flat and snug, your project will fall apart. So I have made sure to get one good solid layer, and it's all going in one direction if you notice, especially on those edges. So now I'm going to take some of those longer strips and I'm going to start doing a second coat. That you want to do multiple layers and as many as you can do. Usually I recommend a minimum of 3 for it to be any sort of solid. So the second layer, what I'm doing, it's kind of serving as layer 1 and 2. So I have now gone a different direction. So before it was just straight across, now I'm going diagonal, and now I go diagonal the opposite direction and kind of create this weaving effect. And that also helps actually build up the strength of the paper mache. So you're getting multiple layers and getting strength out of it. So make sure that you're putting your paper mache in multiple different directions. So you continue this process until the entire thing is covered. Once again, making sure that everything is snug and good to go. So you want to double check, go through your project. If there's excess paste anywhere, make sure that you're wiping it off. Put it back in the bowl, throw it away, whatever, but don't let that extra paste stay on there. And then if you're doing little embellishments or raising, or you just want details to be showing through, make sure that you are squishing it in nice and close. And then when you're finished, you take it back to the room. Make sure that you're putting it on to plastic, otherwise it will dry and attach itself to whatever it's on. So good luck.